All rise. Face the east. 5 fingers on the left, 2 fingers on the right. Recite the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
My salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
May I have a seat? Islam. First, I want to rise and give praises to Allah, to the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. To the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things have grown. To the one who is supreme, most wise and beneficent. To him alone belongs worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. I give honors to the illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1913 AD, savior of humanity. I give honors to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. I give honors to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Garvey, for paving the way. I give honors to all past Supreme Grand Advisors and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America, in concession, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, Brother F. Nelson Bey, and Brother J. Blakely Bey. I give honors to the past Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother Allah Il, may Allah be pleased. I give honors to the present Grand Sheikh and moderator, Brother R. Jones Bey, and his assistant, Brother P. Chase Hill. I give honors to the Grand National Chairman, Sister S. Russell Dunbar Bey, and her assistant, V. Bell Bey. I give honors to the Grand Governor of the State of New York, Brother C. Hurt Bey, and his assistant, Brother K. Richardson Hill. I give honors to our Grand Sheikh in Temple 34, Brother Y. Cyrus Hill, and his assistant, Brother W. Clendenin-Bey. I give honors to the chairman, Brother C. Ferguson Hill, who's also the Grand Governor of the State of Connecticut. I give honors to the Assistant Secretary, Sister B. Reeves Bey. I give honors to our Mufti, Brother T. Berry Bey. I give honors to all the members and Sheikhs, Sister Cecile Zil, and Brother El Serrano Bey. I give honors to all officials, national, state, and local. I give honors to all guests and members. I give honors to our 2 flags, the American flag and the Moorish flag. I give honors to the charter, which give us the right to practice and promote Islamism in America without molestation. I give honors to all the literature and the remedies that the prophet has brought for uplifting fallen humanity. I give honors to man, because when man honors man, he honors his father, God Allah. Islam. I'll now take a read from the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaw, Salvation, Our God, Unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaw. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the law of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the said government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of this said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nation of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Noble Jew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God and my salvation by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 2905 5th Street, Southeast Washington, D.C., 20032. Thus I read the 7 acts from the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. I now bring your attention over to the Quran questions for Moorish Americans on page 7. Question is, in additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses, each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Before acting upon any member, let it be financed property on any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their debt meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he shall be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If members is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving a nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any group, organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must conform himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish American are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Praise Allah. Thus I read the 7 additional acts from the Quran, questions for Moorish Americans. I now bring your attention over to the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah, to redeem man, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father, God Allah. I'm going to take a read, I believe, from chapter 26. On page 36, the holy instructions of unity. The gift of the understandings are the treasures of Allah, and he appointed to everyone his portion, and what measure seemeth good unto himself. Have he endowed thee with wisdom? Have he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence, and to pity their absurdity. Yet be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man feeleth his imperfections, and is humbled. He laboreth in vain for his own aberration, but the fool peepeth in the shadow streams of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. He boasteth of attainment in things that are no worth. But where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he have no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom, he toileth after folly, and shame and disappointment are the rewards of his labor. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvement of the arts is his delight, and their utility to the public crowneth with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtues he accounteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. Islam. That's I read. The meeting is now open according to the prophet's Prophet Noble Drew Ali law. So I want to thank you for making a Sunday school meeting. It's certainly an honor to be amongst the Moors today. Islam to my grand sheikh and all the members and guests that are here today. I'll now call on our Sunday school instructor after a song. Peace.
Peace.
Way down in the valley. Way down in the valley. I heard a loud roar. I heard a loud roar. It was the noble prophet. It was the noble prophet. Leading mighty, mighty Moors. Leading mighty, mighty Moors. Put his foot on the pedal. Put his foot on the pedal. Way down on the gas. Way down on the gas. Move over, Mr. Charlie. Move over, Mr. Charlie. Let the mighty Moabite pass. Whoa, 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 whoa. Mighty Moabites on the go. Mighty Moabites on the go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Way up, I wanna go. Way up, I wanna go. It's time to lace up your boots. It's time to lace up your boots. Just follow Noble Drew Ali. And follow Noble Drew Ali. He led us out the darkness. He led us out the darkness of that mental slavery. Of that mental slavery. He took us on the apparatus. He took us on the apparatus. Way above the stars. Way above the stars. Move over Illuminati. Move over Illuminati. Let the mighty Moabites bow. Let the mighty Moabites bow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Mighty Moabites on the go. Mighty Moabites on the go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Way up, I wanna go. Way up, I wanna go.
Brother Clendenin-Bey.
Islam.
Islam AGS.
Islam Grand Sheikh.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah, Moors. We give praise to the great God Allah, Father of the universe, and honor to our illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honor to everything the Assistant Chairman gave honor to. Islam.
Islam.
So praise Allah, Moors. We're here again for another Quran class. So we're going to get the Assistant Chairman opened up the universe for us. Praise Allah. And we can receive the blessings that come on from on high.
Praise
And for
Allah.
the ancestors that are with us. So we're going to ask some of the more some questions to get warmed up. We're going to start with Brother Ani Bey. You there, Brother Ani Bey?
Give him a minute to get his mic unmuted. This Sister Harmon, if you can help him unmute his mic.
Yeah, Brother Ani Bey. Can you hear me more?
Yeah, Islam, Grand Sheikh.
Islam, brother man. Who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No,
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
in the heart.
What are you trying to accomplish by being a member of the Moorish Science of America? Islam.
First, first I rise, give all praise to Allah, high honor to the Prophet, and high honor to all the members of the Moorish Science Temple. The answer to the question, basically give praise to Allah and achieve the point of mastering my higher self. the God within man.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Very noble, brother, man. Thank you so much. Brother Jordaniel, Brother Rasheen Jordaniel, Brother R. Jordaniel, Islam more?
Islam, Grand Sheik.
Praise Allah. What year was the Moorish Science of America founded?
1913 AD.
Where?
Newark, New Jersey.
What year was the Moorish Science America Corporation as a civic organization? What year was that?
1928.
1926.
I'm sorry, 1926.
No problem. 1928 was a religious corporation. Islam?
Islam.
All right. Where was Noble Drew Ali born?
Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah? He was born in Newark?
Oh, I'm sorry, in the state of North Carolina, 1886.
See how you gotta get warmed up, get them practice jump shot going before the game start. So then you ready?
I got
Right.
a few people running around me. I get a little distracted.
What happened when you got a big family, man? Think about the Jacob felt with the 12 tribes. Islam.
Islam.
All right, praise Allah. Many children, many blessings. Praise Allah. Where were you born, Mo?
Pardon?
Where were you born?
Brooklyn, New York.
All right. What is the prophet's nationality?
He's a Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Oh, we got a chorus going. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans?
By teaching them to be themselves.
All right. Praise Allah. Islam. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Brother Turner Bey. Brother K. Turner Bey. Islam.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Brother Turner Bey.
Islam.
Islam. At what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12.
Where did he teach? Where did he teach?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
India, Africa, and Egypt.
India, Africa, and where?
And Europe.
All right. Name a place in India.
You said name a place in India?
Yeah, where he taught.
Amongst the Brahmins.
At Katak by the riverside?
I think it was a temple called John Gwyneth or
Jagannath?
Yeah.
Orissa?
All right. What was the name when there was a prince that took Jesus, right, from his parents? He became a patron of the child, right? That's like a guardian. And he took him to India. And he was a prince from what area, India? Starts with an O.
Orissa?
There you go, Mo. Tell a place in Africa where Jesus taught. You talked about that earlier. A place in Africa.
A place in Africa. Amongst the
You mentioned it earlier. You said Egypt, right?
Yeah, Egypt. Okay.
All right. Now about a place in Europe.
You said what?
Name a place in Europe.
Hold on. A place. Oh, yeah, because I'm going off the head here. So I was doing a couple of things.
Oh, okay. How about Rome? Remember, Claudius and Juliet was in the boat.
I didn't.
Palestine in Rome.
I didn't want you to tell me, but it's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it though. Yes, Rome.
Hey, what are brothers for, right?
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Thank you so much. And we'll get back to you. Let's go to what about Sister Jordaniel? Let's go back to the Jordaniels. We got a sister. I haven't heard from a sister yet. Sister Jordaniel?
Sister Jordaniel was on the National Sunday School, actually. She called me this morning. So that's what Brother Jordaniel's on.
Right.
Okay. Praise Allah.
I'm holding it down. She could do this a lot better with the kids running around, but I'm holding it down right now.
You know why she could do it better? Because she has more practice.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you put in the hours that she put in, starting with birth, How about you can't even put in the first 9 months?
Right.
You know, put in all that time, had all that connection. I would expect you to do a little bit better than the brother, you know?
Hey,
Absolutely.
brother, a little buddy told me that brother Jordanelle did an overnight shift last night, and the brother is on the call with the children. So keep that in consideration too.
Well, I mean, he's such an old brother. I mean, I thought the brother was young. What are you like in your 40s?
Islam, yes. Actually 25. 25.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm still 17. I don't know where stuff came from up on my face, but you know, 17. I used to like that 17. It's like a year before they said you was legal. So I was
Islam
like,
to that.
as old as I could be without being legal, I'm like, okay. All right. Praise Allah. But we can get into that. Maybe we could talk about that, you know, like what is a minority?
Right.
You really want to be considered a minor in the sight of the law?
No, not at all.
Someone that's not responsible for themselves.
Absolutely. You can't make their own decisions.
Right. So who's our parent? Who's making decisions if we're a minority? I'm just saying legally. But anyway, that's another topic. Let's go to Sister Berry Bay, our assistant chairman, Islam. Islam?
Islam Grand Sheik, she's on her way to the temple, brother, man.
Oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have you got a minute, Islam?
Yeah. I have a minute, ADS.
All right, brother Mufti. How long did Jesus teach?
18 years.
What did Jesus say that would make you free?
Truth.
What is truth?
Truth is ought.
What is ought?
Ought is Allah.
Tell me a chapter that mentions the word ought in it.
Chapter 7.
Praise Allah. Be safe travels, more. Islam.
Thank you, Islam.
No problem. Islam. Let's go to Brother Anderson Bey.
Islam, AGS.
Islam, how you feeling today?
I'm peace, AGS. Thank you for asking.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Allah bless you. Bless the family. How did it go yesterday? I heard you was going to go out and help the Asiatics out.
So it got canceled, and it's rescheduled for in the middle of this week. So,
okay. Praise Allah.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
No problem. Allah bless you and your work, more. The Prophet says it's work enough for all to do to build a better world. Islam?
Islam.
All right. So I have a few questions for you, more. What was the nationality of Ruth?
Mobitus.
Ruth was a Moabitess. Yes. Okay. What is the modern name for Moabites?
Moroccans.
Where's the Moroccan Empire?
Let me go to the page. Wait. Where's the Moroccan?
Yeah, page 2 more is at the bottom.
Okay. Africa. You said what is it? Northwest Mexican.
What is the modern name for Mexican?
Africa.
Where do we get the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan.
All right. And Sultan, if you see some of the old pictures of Clendenin-Bey, he had Sultan on his fez. Islam?
Islam.
All right. So praise Allah. Thank you so much for the Anderson Bey. Let us go to Islam, brother Jefferson Bey. Islam,
I think that may be a guest. Brother
yeah, I invited him. Brother,
praise Allah.
Like in Nebraska or something, Oklahoma, somewhere out there.
Praise Allah.
Can he unmute himself?
Yeah, brother Jefferson Bey, can you unmute your phone? I mean, your whatever access you have.
I'm sorry.
There you
Brother
go.
Jefferson Bey, you there, Mo?
Just tuning in for the first time. Just kind of listening in. It's a real honor and blessing to be among the Moors. So
well, you know what? I like to get the Moors right in there. You know, it's like I can't swim and I just push you in the water. And you're like, what?
Way to learn.
You know, exactly. You know, one time, Sister Franklin Hill talk about the ancestors. I'm gonna talk about, if y'all see this beautiful pictorial here, you know, is put in my charge, Temple 10. This is a property of Temple 10, Moorish Science of America. And one time, one of the ancestors from Temple number 21, brother and sister Franklin Hill, a little history if you want to take note. They answered the call to come down to the Moorish home. When Brother Clendenin-Bey put out the call, you know, we got a Moorish home over 175 acres down in Prince George, Virginia. And from my understanding, there was a member of temple number 21 in Brooklyn, New York, whose relative, so you had a member, and their relative had property in Prince George and was looking to donate it for whatever the reasons, I don't know. And so told their relative, and their relative had them donated to the Moorish Science Temple of America. And so Temple 21 gave the information to Brother Clendenin-Bey, and then Brother Clendenin-Bey, and this is like in the late 30s, early 40s, Brother Clendenin-Bey had sent Brother Nelson Bey from Temple number 4 in Detroit. He had degrees in agriculture and had information and knowledge, sent him down there to start a colony. And then first Moors that went down there from Detroit, New York, and different places around the country slept in tents. Not Motel 6, not, you know what I'm saying, Holiday Inn. So imagine Brother Jones Bey asked some of you Moors to go down to some place you're not familiar with, and you and your wife and family are gonna sleep in tents, and then make bricks, make your own mortar, build your own houses and your own temple.
Wow.
You know? So that's anyway, so back to this ancestor, Sister Franklin Hill. I think it was Sister E. Franklin Hill. So one day she was near some water down at the Moorish home, and she got pushed or fell or slipped or whatever into the water, and she didn't know how to swim. And she started panicking. And so the voice came to her, and the voice said, walk. And she started moving her legs. Well, if you're in water and you start moving your legs, it's like you're treading water. So, but she didn't know that. She just started moving her legs like she was trying to walk. And I'm sure she was panicking, so she was moving them legs probably pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? And then she said her head popped up out the water.
Wow.
Because she answered the voice and she didn't know how to swim.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, Brother Jefferson Hill, let's start off with you're in the water, and I'm asking you, who made you?
Allah made me.
That's right. So you just work on that. You work on that one question. You like, Brother Clendenin-Bey, I got that question under my belt.
Yes,
No
sir.
matter what. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years, I got that.
Absolutely.
You add to that day by day, hour by hour, and make sure you have what you need. We'll get back to you, Brother Jefferson Bey. All right, Brother Serrano Bey, Islam.
Islam, Brother Sheikh.
Islam, Brother Serrano Bey.
Islam, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing, Mo?
Islam, all is well. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. How old are you, Mo?
Praise Allah.
How old?
It's not. Islam.
Oh, you want to give me trick answers? Really? Oh. You hear that, Brother Grand Sheik?
You sound a little muffled, Brother Serrano Bey. A little bit, a little muffled.
You told me time never was when man was
I
not.
think it's the mask. I got I'm with the family in the park, but I got my
Oh, okay.
everything I need.
All
I'm
right.
ready for questions. I'm ready for anything.
Oh, sure. You ready for the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies?
I'm definitely the man.
Are you ready to go out in the hedges and the highways?
Fine.
All right. What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self?
Where you going, Satan?
No. What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self?
I'm going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour.
Has he finished his task of devouring?
Yes.
When was his time declared out?
When he nailed Jesus to the cross.
To the cross or on the cross?
On the cross.
Peace. All right. Let us go on. Let's see. I got Belani Bey, Anderson Bey, got Brother Corey, Brother Peter's here. Let's on, Brother Peter's here.
We greedy. We hungry. What you say?
Oh, I got a whole background noise. All right, Brother Peter's here. Let's go with the mute. Let's go back to mute. That's too much. Sister Seal's here. Islam, Sister Seal's here. How you doing today?
Praise Allah. All is well. Praise Allah.
What's the eel mean in Seal's eel, if you don't mind me asking?
Islam. So first I rise and I give praises to Allah. I give honor to our prophet of Israel, and I give honor to everything that pertains to the uplifting of fallen humanity and everything that our opening chairman gave honors to. Well, I'm gonna keep it simple. Ill, putting on, well, for the basic language, the second language recognized in the United States of America, which would be Spanish, is the. So it can symbolize the can symbolize one, and signifying only. That, when we look at it as Moorish Americans, signify the God essence. Those will tell you it also signifies the aspect of creation. So with that, I'll say peace.
Oh, okay. That didn't seem too simple to me, but okay. Praise Allah.
No, it didn't.
All right. All right. Was Satan? When was the head of Satan taken off?
1453 Byzantine.
What was the name of the city it happened in?
It was Bobby and Sarah. They were inside of
It's called Istanbul today.
Constantinople.
Constantinople. Very good. Thank you. Islam. Let us go. More, when you're not talking, you can mute your phone. Let's go to Brother P. Voquez Il. Islam. What about the Il in your name?
First, I rise and give praise to God of the universe, Muhammad God Allah. I give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America. I give honors to everyone that hears my voice. And I give honors to everybody that the chairman has given honors to. Il, to me, and what comes to mind is the lawgiver.
That what comes to you, the lawgiver?
Yes.
All right, let me ask you a question.
And also the Canaanite God as well.
All right, let me ask you a question, right? So when you joined the Moorish Science Temple America, the Grand Sheik gave you a card in your hand, right?
Islam.
I don't even know. I think I might even been there that day. I'm not sure. And you saw down there, and he said, Brother P. Voquez Il, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ask him what that meant?
A thinker. Someone, I believe, no, I did not ask him.
I'm not putting you on the spot, Mo. I'm just trying to work with you. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because, you know, it's like, who put the fez on your head?
I did.
Oh, you put the fez on your own head?
Yes.
And what did you say to yourself when you put it on your head?
Praise Allah.
What does the fez mean? The fez you wearing on your head, what does that mean? Why are you wearing a fez?
The fez, it means a symbol.
The fez means a symbol?
Of, yeah.
Okay. Let's start. I'm gonna stop with that because you're building. I got you. You know, and these are important questions that we should be able to have the answers for, right? I'm inquisitive. Remember when we was Brother Jordan Hill, Islam Brother Jordan Hill? You still there, Mo?
Islam, Grand Sheikh.
Because you got a bunch of children. You ever go through that why stage where they're like, well, why? And why that? And you like looking at it like, man, they want
Absolutely.
like explanations for everything.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, they want to know why. And that's what we want to know, why. And in order to get the answers to our why, the Prophet Muhammad says from the cradle to the grave, even into China, to find out the answers to your why.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing, to even come up with the why. So we don't want to just have a bunch of people following, just come to the temple, take a nationality card, people just tell them and just sit there and like, okay, no, why?
Right.
Why did you give me this nationality card? What am I supposed to do with this? Why did you put this fez on my head? Why am I wrapping the turban? I looked up turbans. It said like 26, 30 different ways to wrap a turban or even more. Why am I wrapping my turban like this? Why am I the only sister in the whole world that has a crescent and star in the middle of her turban at the point of the apex of the pyramid? Why?
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 Very important question.
All right, let's move on. All right, so let's say Sister Harmony, Islam.
Islam AGS.
Islam. Okay. Can a man be a Negro colored? Excuse me. Can a man be a Negro, black colored, or Ethiopian?
No.
Why? Question 91 more if you're following along on page 5. Why?
Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God Allah.
What title does Satan give himself?
God.
Will you define the word white?
White means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land.
What is meant by the word black?
Black, according to science, means death.
If you only had two choices that someone needed you to put down either white or black, what would you put down? Before you answer that, what does black mean? What is meant by the word black?
Black according to science means death.
Will you define the word white?
White means purity. Purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land.
If you had a choice, you could only pick black or white to describe yourself. Which would you pick?
White.
See what I mean? And this even goes not only from this definition, if you look at we talk about legal definition, you know what I mean? So it's a psychology. Right. See, the Prophet talked about that in the Moorish literature, about this psychology. You have your Moorish literature with you?
Islam, yes, I do.
All right, Moors, if you want to follow along, we're talking about black and white. We're going to go to page 5. First article in the Moorish literature called "What Shall We Call Him?" And on the right side, going down maybe 1, 2, 3, three lines where it starts, "When the occasion presents itself." Read that to the end.
You said on the right side?
On the right side of the article at the top, come down about 3 lines on the right side. It says, "When the occasion."
Okay, got you. When the occasion presents itself for a title for these people, the matter of the various names given to these 22 million people, with all colors of every race of the globe, was an act of European psychology. They gave him a name, then defined it as something inferior to theirs. White they defined as a color of purity. Black, they say, represents everything of evil. The Negro, as they were called in their nation, have no nation to which they might look with pride. Their history starts with the close of the Civil War, or more properly, with his being forced to serve someone else. Thus, he is separated from the illustrious history of his forefathers, who were the founders of the first civilization of the Old World. This matter should be looked into with the hope of correcting it.
Praise Allah. Thank you so much, sister. All right, but the Grand Sheikh, Islam, Grand Sheikh. Islam, praise Allah. Did Brother Chairman get it there yet, or he's still working?
The the chairman is still en route. And I believe Sister Berry Bay is also en route. Brother Petersdale's phone was like that. I believe he went to go pick up the assistant chairman. I rise and give praise to the great God Allah. I give high honors to the last prophet in these days, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Islam, Grand Sheik. Let me ask you a question. What people represent the lower self?
Those that were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teaching.
Now that's a long time ago, right?
Islam.
Was there any Europeans around then?
That's a good question. I would have to think about how to answer that properly.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go way out on the limb and say there was no European back then. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that our forefathers basically go back maybe 1,000,000 years or so, and the European go back about 10, 15,000. But I'm gonna say the reason I'm bringing that up is because, you know, as a people, we always like to blame the European for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wonder what happened when the Moors was ruling the 7 seas. You know what I'm saying? And had this big empire, and nobody could do nothing with them. They had all these high sciences. Like how come? What happened? You can't blame that on the European.
That's right.
Islam. So all right. So they got cast out of the holy city. What is the higher self?
The higher self is the mothers of virtues and the harmonies of life and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right.
What people represent the higher self?
The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
So we got a little warmed up more. I'm sure we're warmed up. Brother Turner-Bey, you warmed up more? Brother Turner-Bey, more, y'all gotta stay active. Y'all gotta keep that finger going.
Islam.
Islam. I mean, if you at work or you doing something or you laying back, that's life. But if you ready to get up in the class, you know, I'll give you an example. So when I was saying earlier about being 17 and not legal, because I'm trying to find ways of getting out of responsibility, basically at 17.
Islam.
You know, years later, I'm fed up. I'm taking an introduction to computer class at Westbury College, old Westbury College. I get to the first class early. I go to the first row and sit in the middle of the first row early, wait for class to start. And then as the time came for the class, the various freshmen were coming in with their shorts on, t-shirts on. Most of them were sitting in the back. And then here comes the professor come on with a suit and everything, come stand in front. And I'm like this close from like, let's go. And he's like, oh, you know? And then I took a class and it was at night. And a lot of the people were older and they was taking this class, Introduction at Marketing. And they was taking this class for their businesses. So a lot of people in there were like 30, 40, 50 years old, and they was going to school at night. And they all came in there serious. See, it's a different state of mind. I'm just mentioning that. So I just want to make sure you with us, Brother Corey Turner-Bey. You with us?
Islam.
Question 56. What are the words of the AC to MST of A?
The Adapt Chambers of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Something after that?
You said, oh, I'm sorry. You in the questionnaire?
Yes, sir. Question 56. What are the words of the AC to MST of A?
Oh, you looking for third heaven? I'm sorry. Islam.
Aren't you looking for third heaven?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about it a little bit. Let's go back to the Grand Sheik. Brother Grand Sheik, you got that 7 heavens display, Islam?
Yes, we do. I'm going to share my screen.
All right, he's going to share his screen. So last week, what did we talk about last week? Brother Anderson Bey, give us a review.
Islam, Grand Sheik. First, I want to give rise to and praise to the Father God Allah, mercy and justice. I want to give honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was sent here to teach us about ourselves. Also want to give honors to the forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I want to give honors to everything that's been said and everything that's Moorish. last week we talked about the chakras and about really getting to know ourselves, you know, and the internal work that comes with that. And for me, that's mindfulness meditation and other different type. It can be acupuncture, spending time with other people and finding out who I am to get the reflection back. But for the most part, Grand Sheik, you talked about the internal world, turning inside to get to know self. And with that, I say peace.
Peace. Praise Allah. I like that. Get that more gold star for that, Grand Sheik. You know what I'm saying?
Islam.
You know, that's what I used to like. I used to teach 3rd grade and 4th grade, you know. When you get the little ones like that, oh, they like that. They like, oh, go home, show mommy I got a gold star. Oh man. Yeah, they learn at an early age. Not everyone, but some of them learn like you get them little brownie points, and things go well at home. When you bring home that good report card, you got them gold stars, 100 on them spelling tests.
Remember that?
Oh, mom and dad seem to be happy, and when mom and dad are happy, oh, I'm happy. When mom and dad see that messed up grade, I didn't do my homework, and you don't even show them the report card, don't go too good at home. All right. But anyway, thank you so much for that, more. Appreciate that. So yeah, we were talking about know thyself. And like the brother was talking about the chakra points, the electricity going, the kundalini, the magnetism. We talked about all that different stuff. We talked about chapter the breath of heaven, who the master of the house is more honorable than his walls. So then we talked about the house itself, and then we talked about the master of the house. So here, I always thought it was interesting when the Moors, when I was young Moor, what were the words that AC to MST of A, add up chamber of the Moorish Science of America, 3rd heaven. Like 3rd heaven? So the graphic that the Grand Sheik got is more studying Prophet Muhammad. There was a point where the Prophet Muhammad, they said he left, he was over to Mecca, and that creature he's on, I think it was called Al-Borak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But that creature took him from Mecca to Jerusalem. And there's an area in Jerusalem called the Dome of the Rock. There's this area in Jerusalem, they always talk about it. It's like, they say it's very sanctified site according to Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and that whole area. They have a giant mosque over there. And inside this mosque is the Dome of the Rock. And it says the Prophet Muhammad ascended. What does ascend mean? To go up. Ascend, descend. Ascend, descend. Said he ascended through the heavens. 2nd heaven, 3rd heaven, 4th heaven, 5th heaven, 6th heaven, and the 7th heaven. And he met with Allah. Islam?
Islam.
All right?
Praise Allah.
So when the prophet is talking about 3rd heaven, we know that heaven is what, Moors? A state of mind. Right? So we're talking about different states of mind. Some of the practices that Brother Anderson Bey was just talking about help you in your ascension. Islam?
Islam.
This is what me and the Grand Sheik want to talk about today. The ascension, the rising up. Because you know thyself. All right? So you're supposed to know yourself, okay? So let's go to page chapter 3. Let's go with Brother Vaquez Il. You got your Quran with you, more?
Brother Vocaz, yeah.
Vaquez Il. I'm sorry, more. I'm chopping up your name.
Yes, I do, Grand Sheik. Of course, I always do.
Oh, you always do. You drive a car?
If I drive, no, never.
All right. One day, if you ever drive a car, you stick the little Quran in your glove compartment, all right?
Brother Clendenin-Bey, he definitely drives. That's just not the terminology that he uses. You put him on the spot when you ask the question.
Oh, he's doing something different in the car? Well, I hope the police pull him over for that. What are you doing? You're not driving?
He travels.
No, I don't.
Oh. Oh, I got you. You travel.
Take it
What
easy on my brother. Leave him alone, brother Clendenin-Bey. Keep going with the question, the other line of question.
No. It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right. Well, I'm gonna get back to you later. I'll get back to you
If
tonight.
we look up definitions to these terms, you know.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting point of information. Let me just add this in very quickly. Brother Volkazil is an engineer. He actually works on fighter jets. You know,
Praise Allah.
military aircraft in the Air Force back in the day.
Well, I'm a young engineer from Brooklyn Tech. That's what they called it. Brooklyn Tech, Fort Greene. Go down there, Fort Greene, off of DeKalb.
Wow.
All right, Brooklyn Tech engineers. All right, more. So praise the Lord. Chapter 3. We want to read Elihu's lessons, the unity of life, and I want you to go to instruction number 14 and 15.
Islam.
You follow along
reading
with page 7, chapter 3.
I'm going to be reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Ali, by the guiding of his father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his God, Allah. Chapter 3, Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. Instruction 14. If you would ask what to study, I would say yourselves. And you will have studied them, and then would, excuse me, I haven't had much sleep.
Take your time.
I'm going to start that over. If you would ask what to study, I would say yourselves, and you will have studied them, and then would ask me what study next. I would reply yourselves. He who knows well his lower self, knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away, and knows his higher self. And he who knows his higher self knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Peace.
Yes, Lord. Praise Allah. Thank you. I didn't know you didn't have too much sleep, but that's all right. Because if you get on the battlefield, you know what I mean? You might be 2 or 3 days when you're going to enjoy your strength. You're going to breathe. You're going to pull in the piranha. You're going to pull in the life force in the ethers. And if you're on a mission from Allah, for sure, he'll give you the strength. Islam? All right. Praise Allah. All right. So before we get too deep, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about studying yourself. And let me ask Brother Jordan a question. Brother Jordan, Islam. So let's say me and you go into a little real estate business over there in Queens. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, you familiar Hollis, Queens Village, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And we go and we find this property and we're gonna fix it up, whatever. So we go in there, we're gonna study it, right?
Correct.
And we're gonna make sure we study everything, right? But after we finish studying and we study it again, check that at a certain point, we have to do some work, right?
Yes, indeed.
All right. So the temple is not a place just to study yourself for the rest of your life without doing no work on yourself. To use the different things in the Quran where the prophet says, don't use these teachings falsely. I was just in my lower self. I just could, you know what I'm saying? All right. Well, you said that 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So at a certain point, after you're studying yourself and after you see these instructions from the prophet, if you want to go from the front of the Quran where it says to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God, that means you got to do some work, right?
That's correct.
All right, thank you so much.
I wanted to add that
go ahead.
We were traveling out of town and there's a lot of new construction homes being built. And I was pointing out to the kids and I was like, you see, everything starts with the foundation and then comes the framework. Then comes all the inner workings. So we was kind of having a discussion similar to that, talking about relating that to self, using the frame of the house as self. With the foundation, Islam.
Islam. So usually the format in the temple is that we warm up with the questionnaires, and maybe some more's got some questions or they're looking for some information about something specifically. And then we go into a lesson, usually out of the Holy Quran of the Modern Science Temple America. So I'm just going to give the Moors on the line. I see we got 13 participants. We got Sister Berry Bay, Brother Ani Bay, Brother Anderson Bay, Brother Serrano Bay, Brother Jordan Hill, Brother Jefferson Bay, Brother Turner Bay, Sister Seals Hill, Brother Vocrez Hill, and Brother Peters Hill. Does anyone have like something they was waiting to get to Quran class before I get into the lesson, and maybe you don't have a moment, but is this something that you wanted to ask a question about or something you was reading about that you're looking for some guidance on before we go into the lesson? That's going to give you opportunity. It's on?
I will try and help with that process if anyone wants to.
All right, if someone you could raise your hand, the sister will see it and she can let us know.
I did see a hand by Brother Jefferson Bay. I'll go ahead and unmute you, brother.
All right, Brother DeAndre Jefferson Bay.
Islam more.
Islam.
I had a question in some of my studies that I've done over the years. I've come across, I guess, different explanations of blackness, and like when you was demonstrating earlier from the science of what the word blackness means. It means death. But I've kind of grappled with that because if you like look at it, you know, I mean, in the blackness, I mean, blackness is like if you look out into outer space, it's the ether, and in the ether, we have the planetary bodies, which themselves are a form of life. And like if you look in the process of how we come into existence, you know, some of my prior studies talks about the human being is formed in triple darkness within inside the womb of the mother, and that's where the life process starts. You know, so like even similar to a seed that you plant in the ground of anything that brings forth life. I mean, isn't it in the blackness where the mysteries of life take place and then give forth life? So I've kind of grappled with the word blackness as like meaning death, because when you look at it from a certain standpoint or point of view, it's in the blackness where life springs forth. I'm kind of having a difficulty trying to understand where the death is, because if you look at life itself, life is movement and matter, and through science, it says that it states that it's impossible to destroy matter because matter is also energy. So when what we call death occurs, it's really not death at all, because it's impossible for matter to be destroyed or for energy to be destroyed. It's only transmutation from one form to another. So like if to kind of use an example that may be a bit grotesque, like a decayed body, after it's put in the ground for a while, it breaks down into the elements of matter. And from that, other life springs from that, you know? So, I mean, if you look at it, death really doesn't exist. It's really just a transmutation of one form to another. It's all energy, and energy can't be destroyed, but energy starts in the ether. So I'm trying to understand how blackness, which is the color of ether, because I was reading in a book here called Black Root Science, and on page 6 of it, he talks about he says that the matter of every star and planet in the universe is created in 7 forms. In modern words, these are magnetism, electricity, light, ether, gases, liquids, and solids. The fourth substance, ether, is the central supporting substance of the other six. It is the womb of creation called space. It is black in color, as one can see by looking out into space at night. This absolute blackness, called space, not only supports the other substances, but it also gives individual color to all objects, because the color black contains all colors in itself. So I'm just trying to, I've been grappling with that over the years. I'm trying to figure out where death is in the blackness, when it's from the blackness that all life springs forth from. And all life is a form of energy and matter, and it's impossible to destroy energy. So when so-called death does occur, it's really just a transmutation of one form to another. There's no such thing as death. So I've been trying to grapple with it. I'm trying to get some clarity in my studies of where death is in the blackness, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if I seem random.
No problem.
Islam Grand Sheik.
Islam?
Could I speak to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Mo.
Islam. First and foremost, I rise giving praise to the great God of the universe and honors to his holy and true, holy and divine prophet. Giving honors to the charter and everything that he's brought for the upliftment of fallen humanity and everything pertaining to Islamism. Peace. So just for my understanding a bit of black, you know, we're not so against the word black. It's just the connotations of the word, of what the word is. So for instance, so to speak to what the brother was saying, so we always was here, right? In a sense, was and evermore shall be here, right? So if the Asiatic race was here since the beginning of time, right? And,
yes,
and the Asiatic race was here since the beginning of time, and then you look at the word black and the different meanings of the word black and how it's been changed over the years. You can tell that that's not truth, because truth doesn't change nor pass away. So around the time the year 1050, black meant a totally different meaning than it means today. So in 1050, black meant pale. So black didn't mean the same color that we talking about right now. So
Islam.
Islam. Hold on. All right. Thank you, Mo. Praise
Islam.
Allah. Let me say this. Hold on, Mo. We're not gonna go all over with that, but let me just say one thing, because the brother was making some statements about, and I think I want to get it correct, that from blackness came life, and I don't see that. All right. So all life, in the sense that we're talking, because we're using the concept of death, and the brother's absolutely correct. I mean, there's only death to the physical body or the soul, but that's just in the sense of it taking on another form. We always talked about that formula: energy equal mass times the speed of light. So we know it's dealing with different vibrations. All right. So no, but in the sense that the prophet's talking about, what is meant by the word black? All right. So we're talking about according to science, right? So to me, even in the concept of this space that he talked about, the life force that comes forth into this space doesn't come from the space. You see what I'm saying? When it says in the Bible, let there be light, creation itself doesn't come from the space. That's the whole concept of the Big Bang. The scientists get to a certain point they can't explain. Well, where did it all come from? Exactly. That's when you have to introduce divinity. Because if you're only dealing with the science, you know, and then you had the blackness and you had this and you had this, well, where did it all come from? What's the essence of it? And Allah is light. And so what I think the prophet is alluding to is by using this, and Brother Peter Zeal talked about using this adjective to describe you, you know, as almost like as a noun, that you mean this death. Just like he was talking about what white meant, the defined white and purity. And so we use these concepts, blacklisted, blackball, evil, and like, you know, the different definitions over the year, but all taking a negative connotation. And I think it was Brother Peter Zeal or even Brother Jefferson-Bey himself said, not to take away from the science. You know what I'm saying? When you break down, like the brothers talk about the ethers, the space, the colors, it's nothing to do with that. It's dealing with this European psychology that we read about in the early article. And from that psychology, using these terms, and one is a term they're using as something greater than, and then say, well, you're this, less than, and I'm greater than. So, and it's interesting that even terms where brother is a very light-skinned olive is like, oh, I'm black. It's a psychology. It's a psychological thing. So, but that's a great question, Brother Jefferson-Bey, and a search for these concepts and these understanding. You know, like the brother said, so when you look out there, if you look out there with no energy, first of all, how could you even look if there's no light? What could you perceive? You know, if you took all the planets and you took all the stars and there was no light, it kind of reminded me of what the prophet told us from the chaos of the deep when the worlds were formed. You know, and life springs forth from death. All right. So I think that's the concepts. And we can make reference. We could read that part. I think that's chapter number 19. Let me see if I can get it here.
Islam Grand Sheikh, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Grand Sheikh.
If I can add something into that really quickly,
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me clear now?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add this for the brother as well. A couple of factors I want to add on to what you said and tie in what Brother Petersill said as well. We want to remember that what the Prophet Noble Jew Ali set up for us started as a civic organization that was later upgraded, right, to a religious organization, but the civic is still there. The Prophet was trying to bring us into the constitutional fold of the United States. What is this? That's something about my connection. Yeah. Sister Harmony, can you still hear me?
No.
Oh, yeah, wow.
We can hear you and see you, Grand Sheikh.
Okay. If my connection goes out, say something. Thanks so much, Sister Harmony.
I'm on 24/7.
So the Prophet wanted to bring us into the constitutional fold, and part of the problem with the word black, we want to remember Brother Jefferson, but Jefferson Ill, Jefferson Bey?
Jefferson Bey, yes, sir. Yes, sir, Grand Sheikh.
Utilizing that term, Islam, brother, utilizing that term is what put us civically, it put us out of law within the Constitution of the United States of America. And that's the first point. So it's a civic problem. It's not so much a philosophical, or it sounds, your approach sounds very scientific, right? It's civic. We want to think in terms of civics is what the Prophet is saving us, because if we're outside of the constitutional fold, then we're in danger. We don't have the certain rights. We don't have, we're not getting the fair treatment, right? It comes down to financial well-being, right? Being able to, the citizens that actually get the gold and the silver, right? According to the prophet's word, or we become abused by the actual functions of government. So I wanted to state that point and also say that we as Moabites, as Moorish Americans, as Moors, Moroccans, we never described ourselves in all of this time. This goes to what Brother Petersill said. The name changed over the time. We never described ourselves as black. who actually applied this name to us becomes the core question. Kind of go along these factors. And I want you to look up, I'm actually curious, but we don't have time. I'm curious of the author of the book, Black Root Magic, that you, I believe you said Black.
It's Black Root Science. It's the book 1 and book 2, and there's a study book that comes with it. It's a brother by the name of Manamoko. He's actually from a Mexam.
Manamoko. Okay. I didn't want to go there just so I could keep the point kind of short, but what I would say is I want you to look up, I don't know if you're familiar with there's a brother named, there's a European, the fellow named Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And John or Johann was the person who came up with the theory of the 5 racial classifications. It was a European who said that humanity should be classified into these color groups. What the prophet is warning us is that they assign themselves to the term white and assign black on us, and we never called ourselves black. And we're really discussing the ramifications, good, bad, or otherwise. The prophet is telling us that it's very bad civically.
Islam.
You finished, Grand Sheik?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks, Grand Sheik.
All right, praise Allah. Let me do this one reading, and thank again, Brother Jefferson Bey, for the question. And I'm reading from page 27, the Divine Instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter number 17. And we go down. The prophet's talking about the body. If we go down to instruction 37. It says, there is a holy ministry in death. All right. The essence of the body cannot be quickened by the holy breath until the fix is solved. So even going back to what the brother was saying, I mean, there's no death, obviously, the spiritual man. So what are we talking here? We're talking about the physical body, right? Just like we know that this whole drama is an illusion, but yet we're physically touching it and experiencing it, right? So in this concept of the person is no longer with us, like breathing and talking to us in that sense, they call him death. So in it says here, there's a holy ministry in death. The essence of the body cannot be quickened by the holy breath until the fix is solved. The body must disintegrate, and this is death. So this is the concept they're using, all right? And then upon these pliant substances, Allah breathes, just as he breathed upon the chaos of the deep when the worlds were formed, and life springs forth from death. The carnal form is changed to form divine, all right? So we're talking about various spiritual and scientific concepts here, all right? But ultimately, the whole thing is an illusion, and there's only one, that's Allah. All right? But praise Allah for that. So we were talking about working on ourselves. So the Grand Sheik has a graphic here talking about a workshop. And you want to put up that graphic? Mm-hmm. So now you come into the temple in the Moorish Science Temple of America. All right? And I just want to read something from the Moorish literature as the Grand Sheik's pulling up this graphic. And this is at the end of the Moorish literature. And the title is called Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. So near the end, the prophet says here, read carefully the doctrine of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It contains our hopes, our aims, our rules and articles of religion. Every member should have a copy. In conclusion, I urge you to remember there is work enough for all to do to help in building a better world. The problems of life are largely social and economic, and in a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual. Have a lofty conception of your duties to your country and fellow man in general, and especially those with whom you deal. This includes such honesty and righteousness as will cause you to put yourself in the other fellow's place. Mm-hmm. Look for the best in others and give them the best that's in you. have a deeper appreciation of womanhood, brighten the hopes of our youth in order that their courage be increased to dare to do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So we're talking about you come into the temple, whoever road of life you come in, whatever degree you come in, and the prophet's trying to take you higher, trying to take you all the way back to the highest plane. And so we have a chapter number, who could tell me where it talks about the workshop of the mind? Brother Anderson-Bey, Islam.
Islam, Grand Sheik, I have to say I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, we're going to get there. I see Brother Al-Azhar just chimed in, so we got to get him right away. Islam, Brother Al-Azhar, workshop of the mind. Shaheen Al-Azhar, Islam. You want to unmute your line? There you go. Islam.
Oh, hold on. Let me unmute my. Oh, man.
I can hear you now.
Islam, I'm trying to get my view. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Islam. I rise in the name of Allah. I would like to give honors to His holy and illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Would like to give honors to the forerunner to the Prophet, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, to the officials of the temple, and to the members of the temple present and not present.
Workshop of the mind. What chapter?
On that. I can't do that off the top of my head. It's exactly what chapter that is.
Well, listen, Sister Seal got your back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Sister Seal, Islam.
Islam.
Workshop of the mind.
That would be chapter 5. Islam. Divine instructions
That
from the
would be
Holy Prophet.
Thank you so much. Chapter 5, Brother Anderson-Bey is going to read for us. Chapter 5, page 10, Moors. After the feast of homeward journey, Brother Anderson-Bey, let's go to instruction 12 and 13.
Islam. One day as he was bringing forth the tools for work, he said, "These tools remind me of the ones we handled in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. We use the square."
Question is, no, that's all right. That's good. Okay. Now, to build in the workshop of the mind where we build up character. Now, do you think you have to build up character in order to get back to the highest plane of spirit life?
I think it's already there. I have to find it. You know, as it says that if I want to find Allah, I have to look in the heart. So He gives me everything that I need. It's just a matter of me being able to have the discipline to sit still and, you know, search or wait for divine instruction.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. So you understand the concept of a workshop?
Yes.
You see the picture, the graphic?
Yes. Yes.
All right, you're not going to use all of those tools at the same time, right?
No, we do not.
We use different applications, right?
Yes. Yes, Grand Sheik.
All right. So, and what do you do in a workshop? You build, right?
Yes, Grand Sheik, we do.
All right. All right. That's the point I'm making. Thank you so much. So we have to build. I mean, yes, it's in, but it's kind of like an artist looking at a stone. Mm-hmm. Yes, the statue's in the stone, right?
Yes.
But he has to take his chisel and hammer and go to work until you see that beautiful manifestation. But it's still the same thing, but it was within, right? So we have the Allah within, and then read the last instruction on that page, Brother Anderson. Brother Anderson-Bey, you want to read the last instruction on that page?
Yes, Grand Sheik. So that was chapter. What chapter is that again? Oh, all right, I see. Oh, and on the 12-step ladder, we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which life is spent to build the temple of perfected man.
Right. To build the temple. See the graphic now? Mm-hmm. And the 12-step ladder, what we was talking about earlier, ascending, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about ladders. Let me go to Sister, let's say, Sister Berry Bay. You still there? I know you're traveling. Islam. Yeah, hold that graphic right there, Grand Sheik. Hold the other one of the big 12-step ladder. Yeah, hold that one. Sister Berry Bay, you still there?
Islam, she's in
Barely, I
Temple.
can hear.
Your mic is not picking up. I know you're unmuted. Oh, you muted? I think they hear you through this mic. You're muted. That's why. Yeah, unmute you.
You can unmute and you can mute.
Islam.
So,
We gotta get the echo now. All right. Yeah, that's not good because you're in the room with the Grand Sheik, huh? All right. Can you still hear me?
Islam, dear brother.
All right. So let's say you're in your kitchen and you're trying to get a glass on the top shelf in your cabinet, right?
Yes.
Do you pull out a big 12-step ladder or you pull out a 3-step ladder?
A 3-step.
A 3-step, right? See, so the 3-step is when you only got to go a little bit, right?
Yes.
But a 12-step is like when you got to go far, high. All right. So let's bring up these 3-step, because the prophet talks about a couple of 3-step ladders, and we're thinking about it more. We're talking about, we know ourselves, we see what's going on inside of us, we having our dreams, we're living our life, all right? We come into the temple, and we're trying to build what the rest of my life is going to spend. The brother just read it. I'm building the temple of the perfected man. That's not the perfect man. Perfected man. Why perfected? Because that's the man that fell. See, the perfect man wouldn't fall. The perfect man don't fall. Perfected man is the men and women that have fell, and now we're raising ourselves up to perfect thisness. You know what I'm saying? To get a read all of that stuff that made us fall, and all of the lessons we gotta learn. We're gonna take all of that, and we gotta go through this physical. Boom, that's on the side. Go through the soul plane. That's on the side. And then our perfectedness, we become one with Allah again. Islam?
Islam.
All right, so we always talk about the ladder. Let's go to faith, hope, and love, because that's in this chapter. Faith, hope, and love. Because to me, yeah, it's not gonna work. There's an echo. Either you're gonna have to, go ahead, sister.
Islam, I want to add to your thought, dear brother. I thought about chapter 2, education of Mary and Elizabeth and Zoan, Egypt. I went to where it says, teach them that Allah and man. No, I'm sorry. That's not it. It says, teach them that Allah and man are one. But that through carnal thoughts and words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah, debased himself. And then it tells us in instruction 19 what we need to do. It says, teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. So that's what you're saying, that we fell, we debased ourselves, but we know that we have to restore harmony and peace in order to build ourselves back up. Praise Allah.
Yes, I was gonna, that's part of the lesson. And now that you brought it out, praise Allah. That's the part of the lesson, is how do we arrive at this point where I'm in the workshop of the mind, I'm in the Moorish Science Temple of America, I'm on this earth plane. You arrived here because you tore yourself away from Allah. You debased yourself. That means you lowered yourself in rank. You was the Lord of all the things made manifest, and now you're just a little human being going through whatever, can't control nothing. You know what I'm saying? When the tiger comes, you run. When the air comes, it blows you down. When the fire comes, you run. When you're in the water, you can't breathe. So you don't know how to deal with these. You're not like where it says in chapter 1, it says Allah spoke from out the highest plane of wisdom and everything stood still. So now the prophet is giving us these beautiful chapters to raise us up. Remember, the front of the Quran is telling us from the fallen stage to the highest plane. This is what these chapters are doing. These chapters are not just to read about a story, you know, something about happened to Jesus when he's a little boy. This chapter to learn that from that lesson of the workshop of the mind, that you have a place inside of yourself where we go to do work. If the corners of our conduct are not so square, we got work to do. If our passions and desires are outside the bounds of moderation, we got work to do. You know, if the plumb line and the prophet from on high is saying you need to be over here on this spot and you over there, you got to move to the spot where the prophet and Allah want you to be.
Islam Grand Sheikh.
Go ahead, Grand Sheikh.
That's the I also wanted to jump this part in terms of the interpretations, and I know you're going there. The multiple different interpretations while we're on a 12-step ladder. You have some people that related to chapter 24 and the steps and the lessons in chapter 24, and you always also pointed it to the celestial houses, if you will, or the 12 months. It's 12 stations of the sun, or the 12 houses. Islam.
Islam. So let's go into that for a second, Grand Sheikh. Very good point. So let me ask you a question. When the more bring up the 3-step ladder, do you got both the 3 steps, the faith, hope, and love, and the belief, faith, and fruition? You got both of that. So look at this first step, right? Look at this ladder here. We always talk about this in the temple, right? And I'm sure Sister Berry Bay, we all know that comes from chapter 7. Brother Berry Bay talked about that chapter earlier. All right. And this is leading from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. Doesn't it have like a progression? I mean, you don't step on the 3rd step first, right? You don't step on the 2nd step, right? You step on the first step. You on a ladder, right? You know, and if you took an OSHA class, you know you have to have 3 points of contact. Who knows what that means?
Okay, Islam. I could guess that much. That sounds like that sounds like common sense. It means like that's like driving when you got to have 2 hands on the wheel when you're making that turn, and there's a certain way you grab the wheel. You don't just do how you learn how to do it later on when you're a teenager. You just hook your index finger in the part of the wheel and you start spinning it like it's like you a DJ. You know that's a little reckless. You hit a pothole and the wheel snatches out of your fingertip, then you're in trouble. Depending on whatnot. So 3 points on the ladder means probably 2 hands and a foot on
right. So you're gonna have either 2 feet and 1 hand, or 1 hand and 2 feet, or 2 hands and 1 foot as you're climbing. All right. So, but the point is, there's a progression of ascension. Remember what we talked about today's lesson? Ascension. So it's going from 1 step to another step to ascend, right? So there's an ascension. So we're looking for that ascension. It's not just a random. We can't just look for a random 12 things. Because as soon as you hear a 3-step ladder, you think of 3 things. Okay, I hear 7. I'm thinking of 7 things. 12. So I'm thinking about concepts in my mind that relate to 12, relate to 7, relate to 3. So, and this other ladder on chapter 5, Brother Anderson Bey, if you read again, it talks about another ladder in chapter number, instruction number 20. If you could read that for us, Brother Anderson Bey. Same chapter.
Okay. And then this ladder with its trinity of steps, faith, hope, and love. On it, we climb up to the dome of purity and life.
All right. So now I start thinking back, right, Sister Berry Bay? Isn't chapter after we talk about chapter 2 and you tore yourself away and now you're getting back, Sister Berry Bay, isn't chapter 3 talking about that purity?
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right. And then chapter 4 talks about the purity, John the harbinger, how to purify yourself.
Right.
How do you wash away sins? Sins are washed away by purity in life. You know, it's like if you go to do the laundry, you put the Tide in there, or whatever the wash you're using, everything, your clothes get clean. Well, how do you clean the sin from your life, from your past lives, from what's going on inside of your karma? How do you wash away the sin? By purity in life. So now Brother Lovey used to teach us about this ladder, and that if you go up there, it says up to the dome of purity in life. So it seems, again, an ascension, right? The first step is what? The first step here is faith. See how this ladder is a little different than another ladder. Mm-hmm. You can't even get on this ladder if you don't have faith. If you just have belief, you can't even work with this ladder. Mm-hmm. You have to at least be at the level of faith. And so faith is the first step on this ladder. The second step is hope. And then love's on the ladder. I used to ask the Moors all the time, oh, okay, purity comes before love, and then how do you purify yourself? And Brother Lovey, like, you got to love. I said, what? He said, by you loving, you purify yourself. He says, if you got a certain amount of stuff in your heart and it's negative, You got to get that out. How do you get it out? By putting some love in there. You keep on putting love in there, moving stuff out. Put love in there, move stuff. Then you ain't gonna have nothing but love in your heart. Then you're gonna be pure. So it's almost like you need to use this love that we manifest here on the earth plane to get to the love, the divine love. You see what I'm saying? It's like the love a mother has. You know, the love that you have for your parents, maybe, or your child. You know, your love for your sibling, or love for something. You could use that to purify yourself. So faith, hope, and love does what? What does this ladder do? This ladder takes you up to the dome of purity in life. The other ladder, what does the other ladder do? Salvation. From the heart of man to the heart of Allah. All right? And then on the 12-step ladder, we ascend. So we're looking for ascension. All right? We're looking at you're on one step, you're on the second step, the third step, and the fourth step. This 12-step ladder. So now the Moors, all right, so the first thing the Moors are going to do is they're going to think about the brother Grand Sheik mentioned, chapter 24, right? Why they think about chapter 24? Because on that chapter, it talks about the children, chapter 23, actually, right? And the Moors see that, oh, maxims of truth. So then what we have to do is, okay, let me plug it into the formula. So are these going to be ascending steps? Or it just happens to be 12 things that the prophet's talking about? I'm just opening up the question for that, you know, because if it's not ascending, then maybe it's not a fitting. But if I could show how it's ascending, so what does it say? So if I'm going to start with these, it says teach him obedience. Okay, that's the first step, I guess. Teach him modesty. That's step 2. Teach him gratitude. 3. Teach him charity. 4. Teach him temperance. Teach him prudence. Teach him justice. Teach him sincerity. Now, I'm seeing beautiful things to teach him, don't get me wrong. But is sincerity after gratitude? Is gratitude after temperance? I'm just asking this question. Because in the other ones, I could see the ascension. Belief, faith, fruition, faith, hope, love. So I'm looking, I'm trying, if someone sees an ascension in 12 steps, praise Allah. Because it seems like when we get to the end, right? The 12-step ladder, the temple perfected man, when I get to that 12th step, that 12th step is going to be the greatest one of the one that led me up to it. So we go on, justice, sincerity, diligence. So wait a minute, I'm all the way at the highest heights and I'm just learning diligence now? Wouldn't I kind of want to know diligence before diligence? All right. Wealth. So I'm getting to highlight and I'm teaching, teach him benevolence, teach him science. So the science is until the end, and then teach him religion. The 12th step is religion, teaching religion. So I understand there's 12, and those are beautiful to say you want these maximum truth. We know we got to teach them to the children, but I'm just trying to plug it in to the 12-step ladder, because this 12-step ladder is taking me to a highest height. So there's another thought, because when we think about 12,
brother, you got Sister Berry Bay's coming in. I'm gonna mute my
Oh, okay, Sister Berry Bay, praise Allah.
Islam. I want to camel walk with you because you were speaking about the 12-step ladder.
Yes.
And in chapter 34 on page 41, the first instruction of sincerity, it says, "O thou who are enamored," this is one who has cultivated with the beauty of truth, has fixed our heart on the simplicity of his charms. So you have to have sincerity to even receive this truth. So it's interchangeable. I look at it as interchangeable. And I also went into chapter 15. It makes me think of the ladder as well, dear brother.
Praise Allah.
Of divine ministry of Jesus. Instruction 2. It says,
And he went forth
It
into the
says, and he
wilderness
went forth into the wilderness to be
Allah,
alone with
that
Allah,
he
that
might
he
look into
might
his
look into
inner
his inner
heart
heart
and
and
note
note
his
his
strength
strength
and wit and
and
worthiness.
worthiness. And we know to look into the heart is the heart of man to the heart of Allah. That's to me a ladder as well, because you have to use hope, faith, and fruition. What is it? Faith, hope, and love. But we have to have sincerity to receive it. If you don't have the sincerity, you won't receive the understanding of love and how to love unconditionally, how to look into the face of man and you look into the face of Allah. Only truth and sincerity will help me do that, or help us do that. And with that, I say peace.
Thank you so much, sister. Praise Allah. So let me just continue for 1 second more as I get to a couple comments. So, Grand Sheik, do you have the one with the zodiac? So now, something automatically, without knowing the maxims of truth, and you think about 12 signs of the zodiac come into my mind. Now, these are 30-degree divisions within 360 degrees. Islam? All right? And so as you go through these different degrees, it's what we call the zodiac, or going through the age. And so, did you get that earlier graphic that I gave you, Grand Sheik, also on the zodiac, where it talks about it, the zodiac and the 12?
Yes, actually.
So one of the concepts is that man, each and every one of us, is not just an individual sign like me being a Taurus. So let's read this statement right here. The ancient Gnosis, as the soul advances through the scale of evolution, he or she passes through 12 grades of being, adding to his or her estate the quality gained at each level until his or her absorption of the essence of all nature is complete. These 12 qualities of perfected spiritual understanding are what are represented by the 12 astrological signs of the zodiac. In the ancient wisdom, the sun's journey through each sign, acquiring the special powers of each, symbolize the soul's round of the elements. And in the acquisition of the 12 intelligences, these 12 aspects create the potential for Christ's consciousness. All right? What are these 12 intelligences? I had to know because above all else, I wanted to develop my Christos consciousness and transcend the illusion for good. I became totally fascinated by the idea that the mystical Jesus figures spent in his first year traveling about the 12 disciples. In fact, these were not human beings. They were the 12 signs of the zodiac from which he, a myth, not a man, gathered the 12 intelligences required to advance from human to obviously to this divine form. Okay? All right. In other words, we are not one sign, we are all signs. And I'm gonna stop there for that. All right. Because I'm looking for an ascension. All right. It's just like we're moving from the age of Pisces to the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And man and humanity is raising up. Each age, what does it say in chapter 2? Represents a journey, a milestone in the journey of the race. So I just wanted to bring that concept into it, Moors, that this 12-step ladder could possibly represent the 12 intelligences that's going on within you, that you're not only manifesting, I'm manifesting my Taurus in this physical birth born in April, and you, Scorpio, Cancer, what have you, but that we're also in our unfoldment of our spirit and our soul manifesting all, obviously the positive, because Taurus has a positive and a negative aspects. So we're talking about gaining all the positive aspects of each one of these signs to make that conduct, to make that character, to make that man into this temple of perfected man. So that was a point I wanted to make about the 12 there and the 12-step ladder. Islam?
Islam.
All right. And so the Grand Sheik and I last week were talking about how your body's made up. And we talked about the acupuncture points, the chakras, the energy, the different things, and we're studying ourselves. And as we're studying ourselves and we get to know ourselves, we realize that in this area over here, I'm pretty strong. In this area, I got work to do. We know that the vanity, the things that we say we're strong in, actually the things that we're most weak in, but our vanity is trying to project it that we're not, that we got to be careful with that, but each one of us knows for sure. And the great God Allah knows definitely what's going on in each and every one of us. So let us think about these ladders in our life. As we're going out there, we have to take these instructions and apply them. You know what I'm saying? Apply them to how we live. And applying these thoughts in the workshop of the mind is where we're able to make the ascension. All right? It's about the initiation and the ascension. All right? We talked about the initiation. We talked about Jesus and the Hierophant. We talked about all the schools he went to be initiated into the sacred teachings. But then once he's in the sacred teachings, it's to ascend. And like the Sister Berry Bay was bringing out, you need to have the sincerity, you need to have the gratitude, you need to have all those different things before you can even be initiated.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to do those things to get up to the dome of purity in life. But I was telling the Grand Sheik the other day, Brother Lovia used to teach about it. When you get up to that dome of purity in life, the Grand Sheik Brother Lovia said you used to see the prophets sitting up in there. See angels up in there, up in that dome of purity. And it just made me think about when Jesus went up in the soul plane and with the great assemblies. Like, where was he? Where are you in your high meditation when you go up in the dome and the light or the sound of Allah in the universe and you're in harmony and you're able to expand your mind? So that's what we're talking about. These are the aims of Moorish Americans. These are our hopes. These are our dreams. Not only us, but that the world can ascend to peace on earth, goodwill to men. So it starts with self. All right. Is there any graphic you want to pull out, Grand Sheik? Any thoughts you want to say? We're getting near the end here.
If you want to leave for some questions, I'm good, brother AGS. This is
all right. Sure. Islam.
Islam.
I have a question. Islam, AGS.
Islam.
Honor to everything that was given. I just want, when I was coming in the door, you was talking about the principles. That's what I heard. I didn't know what the whole concept was, but I've been working on the translation of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. And what I focus on was Act 3. Act 3 says love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed, right? And practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I think that's what I was focused on when I was coming in the door. That's what I heard. I heard the principle, and I said, as I was translating this, that's what I saw, and I said, "Why? Ain't no accident law govern all events." So
but Brother Chairman, that's beautiful because that's how Moorish Americans ascend.
Yes.
This is what the ancestors put in our flag that's over 50,000 years old.
That's right, Mo.
So if you just practice the prophet said adhere to those principles at all times, that's your ascension by using these principles and walking in faith and in hope and in love. Using these principles for charity and sincerity. I tell them all the time, if you don't see it written somewhere, wherever, you always fall back to your principles. Run whatever you got to go through. Relationships, something at the job, something in your home, something you're thinking about, something you're dreaming about. Say, is that okay? Does that work with the principle of love? Oh, yeah, that's good. What about the principle of freedom? Okay, peace, justice. You know what I'm saying? Like you run it through your principles. If it passed those 5 principles, I would say most likely you're good to go. But you can't like, well, you know, it got 4. I'm gonna go with 3 because the other 2, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't work like that.
That's right.
You know, you can't. Well, I covered 3, but that principle of love, I can't really work with that one right now. What do you mean you can't work with that?
Right.
How do you think something's gonna work out? You got all your principles working, but you're not using the principle of freedom.
Praise the Lord.
That's why it's so interesting. And I'll close on this note and let the grand sheet go. But relationships with your wife and husband and wife. All right. The prophet says the wife must obey her husband. Okay. But see, a brother and men in general, what does that mean? See, we use that concept in a low way, like, or whatever I say and all. What? No, man, it doesn't mean that. You know, it doesn't mean that at all. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, you're supposed to be obeying Allah. All right. It's just like it says the assistant grand sheik is to assist the grand sheik in all affairs. If he's living according to the principle of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known by the members of the Moorish Science of America. So the wife, you know, it's a qualifier in there. Oh, my husband. Oh, that's a no-brainer because you live in according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You living like a Muslim. But if you're not, you know, then my own principles kick in. Because each sister got her own principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. She also has what she's got to do for the family and for humanity. So, you know, in all of this, we're all working together. You see, we're all working together. We all have a role to play together.
Yes.
United. A marriage is when Allah brings 2 souls and make them one. Not his, her side and your side. No, one soul together. You can't tell the difference because you're one. All right. So just praise Allah for these principles. It'll help in your ascension to make yourself better, to make your marriage better, to make your life better. So you can keep climbing up these ladders, climbing up the 12-step ladder, using the compass, using the square, using everything the prophet has given us to ascend to the highest plane, Islam.
Islam.
AGS.
Islam. Praise Allah.
Islam.
The camera walk on what you say about the instruction about obedience, but the wife must obey. And the prophet instruct us in marriage instruction for one man and wife from the noble prophet. And instruction 3. So remember, God made man a reasonable companion, not a slave of his passion. The end of his being is not merely to gratify his loose desire, but to assist him in the toil of life, to soothe his heart with thy tenderness and recompense his care with soft endearment. So praise God. Prophet instruction to us. You know,
I think there was a couple of questions too. I don't know if Sister Harmony, if someone has their hand up.
Islam, AGS.
Yes, I have a couple.
Let's go with Brother Berry Bay first. Brother Berry Bay, I think I hear your voice.
Yes, Islam, AGS. I wanted to camel walk with you with the ascension. When I think about the ascension, I think about the cover of our Quran, the inside where it says "Know thyself in Allah." I see that as an ascension, and I also see on the cover of the Quran when it says to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father, God Allah. I see that as an ascension. And in chapter 23, these what they call these 12 steps, the maxims of truth, I also see as an ascension. You spoke about diligence. Why is it so far back? Because diligence deals with material. The prophet teaches us that seek first the kingdom of heaven, and then all these things will be added into thee. So when we go into obedience, to even begin on this ascension, you have to be obedient, because the honor of a servant is his fidelity, and his highest virtues are submission and obedience. So I see each one of these steps as an ascension. Anything toward progress is, for me, is an automatic ascension. And it ends with Teach him religion, and his death shall be happy. We know that life springs forth from death, and death is a transformation to be one with Allah. So instruction 13, teach him science and his life should be useful. Teach him religion and his death shall be happy. To me, is the pinnacle of wisdom. We know that there's no death as from how the Europeans taught it. We know that death is just a transformation to another stage of life. So each one of these 12 steps, AGS, me personally, I see it as an ascension. And with that,
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Sister Harmony. Anyone else got their hand up?
Hands. Brother Vokeso has had his hand up for a little while.
I think Sister Silza had her hand up as well, maybe.
Brother Voquezio?
Islam. I had a comment, and I just wanted to shed a little bit of my light in regards to the question that you had asked me before, Brother Clendenin-Bey, in regards to the fez. See, the fez symbolizes to me many things, right? The fez symbolizes the womb man. It symbolizes the breast with the areola at the top. That looks like a nipple at the top. It also is the headdress that covers the dome from which we take those steps of faith, hope, and love to ascend. Like when we were born of our mothers, we crown at birth when we were, born into this material plane. At the top of the fez, from the areola, the nipple, that gives us all suck, is a black tassel that, that rolls around the circle of the dome, like the zodiac. And it symbolizes the earth, right? Like the earth. So the tassel is 12 inches long, which symbolizes the ruler. The earth is also why the prophet instructs us in the Great Meeting is on, the Quran Questions for Moorish Americans, where question 93, will you define the word white? Well, I just want to say, by the way, this whole lesson, I see, I get this lesson today, and I appreciate it. Question 93 says, will you define the word white? White means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the world, geometry. The earth, the tassel is the ruler, and also everything that you have just spoken of. We strive for purity in life in order, as we go through the cycle of the zodiac, and perfecting ourselves, perfecting to become perfect man, in order to become one with God, Allah, again. And the dome is also the dome. You had spoken about the dome of the rock that Prophet Muhammad had ascended to the third heaven from. The dome is our head. Is our head. And when Satan and evil is dethroned in our minds, in our thoughts, words, and deeds, when we dethrone all that carnal lower self, and we can ascend through purity, love, and all the principles of virtue that the Prophet and Allah has given us, and that we get from the zodiac as well, from the seven spirits, the seven creative spirits, the planets and the ethers. So the fez means a lot to me. So when I said it symbolizes, it was too much to speak all at once. But with that, I say peace.
All right. So that's like extra credit, Grand Sheik. So he's trying to do a little comeback, you know, Moors. I asked him earlier about the feds, right? So he had a chance to do Google and
No. I just
I
had the
got
time to collect my thoughts and write them down and then regurgitate.
More. You know, I'm your big brother, so I'm just messing with you, right? So you know, if I pound you into the wall and body slam you on the couch, it's because I love you.
It's truth, right?
You know what I'm saying? Right? But let's just mention two things that you mentioned about the feds. First of all, the Moors, he's talking about the 360 degrees, right? Right? So we got my tassel, right? It could go 360 degrees, right? We talked about that earlier with the zodiac, right? A circle, 360 degrees. All right. So this all represents, a circle represents Allah, 360 represents that high knowledge, right? But then also he's talking about the length. You could have different lengths. You could have a 16-inch tassel, 24-inch tassel, maybe a 36-inch tassel. So what's the length got to do with it? You know what I'm saying? Because as this tassel comes up high, you know what I'm saying, like that. What's that mean? What does that mean when the tassel's gone? Huh? What does that mean?
That I don't know.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? But anyway, but it's good because it has to do with, again, the ascension, right? Right? The ascension of the tassel. I just made up a term. How about that? You know, the ascension of the tassel. Okay? All right? But remember, we all come, and it's not just the brothers because, you know, the sister don't wear fez, but the same thing with the turban, with the pyramid, and the crescent at the ascension. All of these represent perfected woman, perfected man, as we ascend, the attributes. And remember, our grand governor of New York always says, the feds doesn't make the brother the sister. All right? It's the brother sister that makes the feds. All right? All right, so praise Allah. What do we got? We got Sister Seals here. This one.
Islam.
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 Islam. So praise and honor is already given. I wanted to, it was a couple of things. So just with the black concept, I heard the brother, I definitely at a point in my life used to feel that way. I wrote a whole poem devoted to it, you know, majestic creature being the panther, the soil, you know, you're not aware of who we truly are, and the oil. And then when you go into different, you know, black according to science means death. So when you start looking at the different sciences that matter as far as shaping our world, such as biology, when you look at the biology, it goes back into necrosis. It actually goes back into when the fruit and the plants and the things are actually dying, gangrene, when it's no longer any good. But there's also, when you talk about the astrology, that goes back into the higher sciences, not so much the common sciences with the general people speaking. And so that doesn't necessarily, it shapes our world, but not in the forefront of what we're able to, I guess, see and put our hands on. Also, when we look at political science, certain aspects of political sciences, talking about blackballed, blacklisted, what the concept of what it means. But also with biology, just to take it back one more time, our eyes, we do not see all of the colors and all of the color spectrum. So when we speak about it and we speak about it being black, we're talking about from the understanding that we have with the eyes. And so we know the things that we see with the eyes are illusions, if you will, and they will pass away. So I just wanted to just speak to that. But with chapter 5, as you mentioned, dear brother Clendenin-Bey, and Islam Granshi, good to see the Moors on the line, and brother Chairman, it's good to hear you all. Chapter 5, I like chapter 5 and chapter 6 side by side like this because they work side by side when you look at it. In chapter 10 it says, but he went round and pressed the hand of every doctor of the law and said, I trust we meet again. Chapter 6 and section 10 said, he found the object of his search engaged in building dwellings for the sons of men. And then back to chapter 5, instruction 11, it says, and he went forth with his parents on their way to Nazareth. And when they reached home, he wrought with Joseph as a carpenter. Instruction 11 on page 6 says, and when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hands a compass, square, and axe. right? And so I went I went back over to Compass Square and asked just the concept of the 12-step ladder. But when he first saw him, what was he having? And when you look at chapter 5, it goes back to what Brother Clendenin-Bey was reading as far as the Trinity of steps: faith, hope, and love. On it, we climb up the dome of purity and life. So purity must pave the way for love. And if you look at it, that's the first 3 tools in the chapter of the workshop of the mind. And so when I saw it symbolically, as far as Jesus taking on the task, you know, he had, you know, his compass. So what is he doing? He's making sure that, you know, the passions is in the bounds of righteousness. He's drawing the circles around them, and to keep his passions and his desires within the bounds of righteousness on his way up this 12-step ladder. And then you have the square, and it goes, you know, we use the square to measure all our lines. So now he's making sure it's accuracy and where he's going and what he's doing. You know, I know some of the Moors, when they would walk around the temple, they made sure they would walk straight line. They were very much diligent about it. You know, Brother Martin there, Brother Coleman there, Brother Grand Sheik, Brother Chairman. I know all the Moors used to really make sure that that was something that they were doing. And so it was to straighten out the crooked places of the way and make the corners of our conduct square. And then it goes back to the acts. And I thought that was interesting. So as he's doing all those things, his next tool is to cut away the knotty, useless, ungainly parts. So it's like he's walking through almost like a forest. And it's almost like the concept of the machete and having to hack your way through. But at the same time, you still have to have a path, and you still have to make sure that you're aware of yourself and your surroundings. And so, you know, I just thought that that was just a beautiful thought, and the more definitely had me thinking with that. Last thought would be with the chapter for the sisters, instructions for thy children. I just want to get to it so I can so that will be found on page 34. Holy instructions for thy children, chapter 23. And I say for the sisters, because it clearly says, prepare him early with instructions and season his mind with the maxims of truth. And so I like the word prepare also, because it goes back into what the prophet did with our Holy Quran. He prepared it divinely. Well, it was divinely prepared through Allah and given to our prophet. So it says, dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones that they may learn to love instead of hate. And so it made me think about the significance again and the importance of sisters and the concept of uplifting fallen humanity, where, you know, the children learn these lessons. And if the mother doesn't know the lessons, father doesn't know the lessons, the household's not in order, you're not going to be able to properly instruct the children, nor will you be able to watch the bent of their inclinations, because you may not be able to see and even understand that there is a bent, a curve or a change or a slant in their behavior. And so I just thought that it was very much significant to what our dear Sister Berry Bay also said, as far as, you know, having to be it yourself. And so you have to know this and be this yourself before you can share, teach, be, and to a certain degree inspire. We'll always be able to inspire, but we have to be aware of what we're inspiring. We could be inciting the lower self, we could be inciting the higher self. And with that, I say peace. And it's been a beautiful Sunday school.
Praise God. Listen, Moors, we're running out of time, probably overtime, so let's keep it short and sweet. Let's say, Brother Clendenin-Bey, I see your hand still up. Brother Clendenin-Bey, Islam?
Islam. Go ahead, Clendenin-Bey.
Brother K. Clendenin-Bey? All right. So we're gonna pass him up. Let me just say one thing before Moors, we run out of time. Let's see if the chairman maybe give you some time during secretary's time. But I was talking to the Moors about this over here, this graphic. Moors probably seen it before. All right, it's dealing with the graphic of the prophet. Moors, y'all seen this before, right?
Yeah.
All right. I just want y'all to know that is property of temple number 10. All right. You see, we up to temple number 88. But all these temples aren't active. All right. These temples aren't active. And over the years, we've seen some of the temples that have not been active anymore. And so when it got to around late 2000, 2003, 4, when the last Sheikess of Temple number 10, Sister V. Ellishiel, passed away. She was our former Assistant Grand National Secretary for many years. I was saying to the Moors, like, I'm sitting back, I'm like, well, what's going to happen to Temple 10? Just another temple by the wayside? And so when the young Muslims and the new Moors was reading in the questionnaire, said, where was the Moorish Science America founded? Like Newark, New Jersey. Like, well, where's the temple in Newark? Oh, well, we ain't got no temple in Newark no more. What? Newark, New Jersey, right outside of New York City, an Asiatic city, Newark, New Jersey, where there used to be 4 or 5 temples in the area. Oh, you don't have no temples over there? Oh, well, you know, we got the reincarnated prophet and we got some other Moors there, but our group, we don't have no presence there. And I was like, I can't let that happen. How would you a member of this organization and let that happen? So now over the years, I've been trying to do whatever work I could do to have a presence, at least someone who from that area has someone to call, someone to work with. So that's why you see my name under the, actually called the study group. And we went into what that's called, Temple number 10. But the reason I'm saying this is that, hey, one day Brother Clendenin-Bey might not be able to put in that energy. Brother Clendenin-Bey might not be on this soul plane, this earth plane. Somebody is going to come to my house and get that picture right here from the sister, and they're going to continue the work in Newark. Somebody. Okay? Brother Ferguson has been over there doing work with me. Brother T. Williams Bey been over there, did work with me. Brother G. Williams Hill came over there and did work with me. Even had an Asiatic brother who owned the store over there one time, was letting me use his store. He wasn't even a member. Work with me. You know, so I'm just saying that we got to keep these things in mind. So when you think about Boston, Atlanta, different places where, praise Allah, we got a temple in Atlanta now. But how come we don't have no temple in Boston? Now we don't have a temple no more in Hartford, Connecticut. You know, these are the things we got to think about. So praise Allah for those brothers and sisters that's willing to do the work. Like I said, the prophet said there's work enough for all to do. Grand Sheik, I want to again thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for the various graphics that you put the energy in to bring to us. Peace.
Peace. If I can, Brother Ferguson, I wanted to thank Brother W. Clendenin-Bey for conducting the Sunday school class. We felt like when we were meeting in the spring, we were rotating the talent that we actually have in our temple. We have a lot of powerful resources. So I realized that we weren't doing that. So I asked, we wanted to ask the Brother W. Clendenin-Bey if he could teach this Sunday as well as the last Sunday. I'm trying to see if I can get Brother Ferguson, who was my first Sunday school instructor, to teach, but we're working on that as well. Also, I've been working like crazy over the last few months trying to get Sister E. German Bey on one of our Friday holy days, the Grand Sheikess Emeritus. You know, the interesting part is Sister German Bey don't play. Sister German Bey does not miss any meetings at Temple number 88 in Atlanta. So every time I call, she's there. She's so busy holding down the fort in Atlanta. We spoke about a week ago. That I'm working on it. But I don't want to steal her away from Temple number 88. If you know a little bit about Temple number 88. But I wanted to thank Brother W. Clendenin-Bey, our Assistant Grand Sheik, the former Grand Sheik of Temple number 34, former Grand Sheik of Temple 34 Brooklyn, former Grand Sheik of Temple number 21 in Brooklyn, actually still the Grand Sheik of the study group, very important study group, Temple number 10 in Newark, New Jersey. Former Grand National Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Thank you, Brother W. Clendenin-Bey, et cetera, the different positions and roles that Brother Clendenin-Bey played. Peace.
Peace. It's on me, just I just want to add something from chapter 6 that the Sister Cecile was dealing with. That she went on verse 14. For certain days, Ravana was a guest at Joseph's home on Mormon Way. He sought to learn the secrets of the wisdom of the son of the son. But it was was all too great for him. Wisdom, because remember he sought wisdom in the West, and that's what he came. And it was too much. That's why he said, "I want to be the patron of the time and take him back home," because it was too much. And the same thing with the prophet instruction. There's a whole lot to it. You know, sometimes we just hit the surface, but when you're talking about delve down deep, you're going down deep. You know, to get those treasures. Praise the Lord. I just wanted to add that, AGS.
That's it. We're going to take some questions during secretary time.
We're gonna take some questions during secretary time.
Announce some of the guests.
Yes. I'm gonna read the divine warning by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Divine warning by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans that causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, true peace, freedom, and justice, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet will violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cards and button, cease wearing their turbans and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine pleas to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of prophet Noble Drew Ali. Peace.
Peace.
Put that shot, screenshot.
Announcements, guests. Perfect. Brother Ferguson will say that Brother Barry Bay may also be able to share it.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Okay.
That's
All is well.
all.
More, I'm going to share some announcements. Brother Ferguson, also, if we have any guests, I think we want to try to make sure we announce our guests.
Yeah, praise the Lord.
Cancel. Okay. You have any announcements, Moors?
Any announcements? Anybody have any announcements? Make that announcement. What we do it for next week?
Yeah, going once, going twice.
Sorry.
Islam? Go ahead. Islam?
It's fine, Brother Chairman. Just with Sister E. German Bay, I just thought about it. If we could maybe just tie her in, maybe if we can get her on a Zoom and just have it zoomed in where she maybe, I don't know if she speaks at her temple. If we could maybe even get that part of it. Just a thought. Without us at peace. Thank you.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Islam, good thought.
That's a very good idea.
Make it manifest.
I had been trying to, I was trying to at first to see if I could get her to come on our Zoom. And then when she said, when I timed it in the spring, I caught her on a week right when they were trying to resume their meetings. They had some problem. They were stopped meeting for a minute. And she was like, we're going to get back. And I could tell, I could read Sister German Bay's mind a lot of times. And I could tell she was kind of torn because she needs to support Brother German Bay, Brother O. German Bay, her son, the Grand Governor of Germany, of Atlanta. And so that first couple of weeks, she needed to be there to support. She's very serious about the support of the Moorish Science Temple of America, regardless of what temple it is. And then that happened a couple of times. And then when I called her this time, I started thinking what you just said, Sister Seals, just if we could maybe get her for a few minutes. But I didn't think of what you specifically said as the option is to just record what she says while she's in the meeting. If I get somebody to record that and somehow get the video, maybe make that part go live, and then we can do the same way we tie in the Grand Sheikah moderator. I'll work on that. That's a very good idea, Sheikah. Thank you.
Islam, Grand Sheikah. Even if that doesn't work, someone can always use our call in. The phone call option on our line, and you can just take a picture of the Sheikhs of our Grand Sheikhs Emeritus, and maybe put her picture up, and then we can just have it to where we can still hear her, if nothing else. Islam.
Praise Allah. Thank you.
Allah. Will do. Thank you, Sister Seals. Praise Allah.
Islam, thank you most for the thought. Beautiful thought. Praise Allah.
We have some guests, right? We have some guests on the line. We'd like to announce themselves.
We had guests on Friday that we didn't get. And I believe brother, what's the brother's name that was on? Brother Franklin? Was it Franklin Bey? Jefferson Bey. Brother Jefferson Bey. Brother Jefferson Bey, Brother Clendenin-Bey, I think said that you called in. How'd you hear about the Moore Science Temple of America? Is this your first meeting? How'd you hear about the Prophet and find Temple 34?
Islam Moore. I've come across the teachings. I was incarcerated for 13 years. And when I was incarcerated, there was a lot of Moors that was demonstrating in some of the prisons that I was in. So I was somewhat familiar with the teachings, but I never really dwelled off into the teachings specifically. So this is like is me just coming to the light, I guess is the best way to put it. And, after, it's a real blessing. I want to say it's a real blessing and honor to demonstrate with the Moors and the Moabites. This is profound science here. This is a very high science. And I just feel honored, to be able to demonstrate with the Moors here and to have finally made it to the light. So I still got a lot of traveling to do. I've studied quite a bit, but the more I come to know, the more I feel I don't know. So I'm getting a lot of clarity here. The Moor Science Temple of America, the Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple of America, it seems to simplify a lot of what was priorly complicated to me. So I feel I'm in the right place. And I'm among brethren and sistren, and I just really feel blessed about that. So,
praise Allah, praise Allah. Brother Jefferson Bey, where are you from, Muslim?
Originally, I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, but my family, when I was still a child, relocated to Iowa. So I grew up mostly in Des Moines, Iowa, and I was incarcerated from there. And then I relocated to Nebraska. So just wanted to kind of get away from a negative environment and have a chance to kind of reestablish myself and organize my thinking. So I came down here all alone with just me and my literature and a drive to better myself.
Praise Allah, praise Allah. Yeah, it's powerful that we're able to join together virtually. Praise Allah. Thank you for joining us for the call. If we don't have any other...
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor.
Islam. If we don't have any other visitors, Sister Harmony, we're going to come back to Brother Jefferson Bey and see if he has any questions. We'll give him the first chance to ask questions, and then we'll open up for questions. Islam.
Islam, there are no other first-time visitors on the call.
Praise Allah. Brother Jefferson Bey, do you have any specific question that you want to ask that we can speak to? I know you asked a good one during the meeting. If there's any other ones that we can help with, this is a good time. And then also I want to remind you, brother, man, Brother Clendenin-Bey said you spoke on the phone. I don't know if you look on the screen, the slides that are actually playing, there's one slide that has information on our conference calls. We actually have a Quran study class that's facilitated by Brother W. Clendenin-Bey, who just taught every Sunday and every Thursday. So there'll be a call tonight. You can call in and you can ask additional questions that actually called set up just for that purpose. But also we're gonna open up the floor for a second if you have any other questions. If you want to ask one, if not, we'll go to Brother Turner-Bey. Brother Turner-Bey, I think, had a question that we rolled into secretary time.
All right. Islam?
Islam, it wasn't more so like, it is like in the form of a question, but
Oh, go ahead.
we was talking about the 12-step ladder and the 3-step ladder and, you know, the principles. However, it's rarely that we hear the process of those principles being manifested or demonstrated. You know, because we could say, you know, especially to guests that don't know, you know, too much and maybe don't have a circle 7 with them. They don't know the process of love, or a lot of people know is what we've been through in life and you know what we've seen or read somewhere, you know. But there's a process in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it unlocks certain keys to the rest of the literature in the questionnaire in the Holy Quran and the Moral Science Temple. But you know, it was just a thought that, you know, one school day we can go through the process of the 12-step ladder, of the 3-step ladder, and other principles, so people can apply it to their life. You know, because some people will get stuck. Like, so I know sometimes I get stuck. You know, like, God darn it, let me go into the definition. And when sometimes you go into the definition of it and it's not defining it, it's not what you're looking for. It doesn't even sit right with you that's the right definition sometimes. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to apply it to your own life. Like, let's say it says in chapter 5, right? It says we use the compass to draw a circle around our passions and desires to keep them in bounds of righteousness, right? So, right, when we look at the compass, it's a circular motion. So a lot of people will be like, all right, I'm gonna think of it. And it's really hard to think of all your passions, right? So I developed a process of writing down the things that are my passions. You know what I'm saying? And then drawing a circle around the passions, you know what I'm saying? And then knowing what the bounds of righteousness are. That's a key element, because a lot of people in today's world will be confused on what or misled on what the bounds of righteousness are, because it's being crossed on every level we could think of. Right. So I think to make it simpler, like for guests that come on, we if we go that route, that Islam.
Islam.
Islam, can I say something to that?
Yeah, Islam, Becky. Did you finish Turner-Bey?
Yeah, Islam.
All right, Mo.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. That's a very good point. There's a couple of things in there, and I don't want to be too long, so I'm going to speak to one part of something that jumped up while you were speaking, with the compass. Right, when you think about the compass, you know, drawing circles around our passions and desires. I originally thought of it as like drawing circles around my thoughts. This was the way I was taught by someone a long time ago. So if you have a negative thought and you draw a circle around it, and you notice this thought made it into your thought stream, right? We learned about thought streams. You want to set an alarm off and root that thought out of there. You know, when you walk around we live in a society that bombards you with different thoughts. You want to take control to be a mastermind. Brother Dave was teaching on, I think this was not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, I was listening to his recording. He started talking about the monkey mind state. The monkey mind state, which is all over the place and can't focus, can't go, you know, can't get itself together. And we have to be mastermind. So we have to get control of to a greater degree. That's what Brother Clendenin-Bey was hinting at. He was speaking between the lines to the Moors to see if we could catch it. He talked about you can't just master 3 of the 5 principles. You can't get some of the virtues and then have some of the vices. You got to master all of them before you're ready to even begin to enter the school of to be an initiate. You got to first climb up to the Dome of Purity. This is actually the actual rules, the way that it goes in initiated process in the mystery schools, right? So you can't have a monkey mind in your mind. You got a thought that shot in. You're walking on the street and you saw a billboard, and the billboard sent you on a spiral, and you didn't even register that. You didn't even detect it in yourself that you're the sense of yourself is your first state. Reflection is the business of man. The sense of your present state is his first business, something to that extent, right? Go in circles and start off with thoughts, and then think about passions. When I think about passions, brother Turner-Bey, I'm thinking about, going back to this thought about vices versus virtues, and you got to pin down all your vices and turn up all your virtues. Temper, your temper is one of the ones. I was reading something this weekend. It was talking about how you got everything else mastered, but you didn't master your temper. And it hit me in the heart because I realized I'm starting to learn. I have a bad temper. I have a bad temper. And I think it's been bleeding me out. It's like I'm hemorrhaging through my temper. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking like, why am I not getting the result that I want? Because you got a bad temper, and it's in secret, but it's still there. So drawing your circles around your passions means don't let your temper go too far. You know what I mean? Me and my wife, we're a hilarious couple that my wife loves to fire my temper off twice a day, every day, for years. And she knows the buttons to hit to make me get mad. And over the years I've gotten better, but still there's a little what is the border, right? When you draw a circle, what circle do I draw around the limit to your temper so that I'm not bleeding out every day? All my good works go out the window because I got a bad temper at the end of the day, every day. And that also leads to this practice of studying your thoughts, right? When we're supposed to study self, we study our thoughts. You realize that I talked before about the different voices that speak to us. You have your body is speaking. You have your emotions that speaks a different voice than your body, because your body's like, dude, you gotta go to the bathroom, or it's time to eat. When we gonna eat? Your passions are saying you should just punch him in the face. Just get up and don't even say nothing and go over there and punch him in the face. That's what I would do. Or say this to them. I bet you this will get there. And that's your emotions, or telling you you're sad, or telling you to jump out the window, or telling you to cry. It's trying to make you cry, right? Then you have the third voice. Would be you got your ego in there, you got your own mind, your human knowledge, right? That's trying to tell you, like Mr. Know-it-all, that to do something and it's wrong. Half the time it's wrong, right? And then you finally have that voice that's your intuition, and that voice that's just gonna wait until all the other ones stop talking. It's gonna sit there patiently, and it's gonna wait for them to stop talking, and then it's gonna tell you, what you need to know. And that intuition is that still small voice. So drawing circles around your passions, I see it as, kind of like literally tempering yourself. Peace.
Islam. I really understand what you're saying, right? Because where we from, or some of us are from, very violent, very negative backgrounds, and it's like a seesaw to me personally, right? To deal with the thoughts, it's very harsh. It's not easy. It's not an easy task to just tell somebody, oh yeah, acknowledge what you thinking, so that the negative thoughts that you thinking, so that you can measure it out, so it's not, so you don't manifest it, right? So it took me a minute to acknowledge the negative thoughts. And I look at people in the stuck in Asia, right? Like it's not easy for them. If it wasn't easy for me, it's much harder for them, because a lot of people didn't have, certain things that would cater to their character in a positive light, like some of us. So, I got a friend that, all he think about is, doing what we used to do, robberies and just a whole lot of negative things. And to get him out of that thought, it was the first time it was kind of hard, because, what can I tell this guy, and he needs, finances right now, and he's going through all these situations, and, it brought me back to the Circle 7, right? To just listen. Then I went into Circle 7 and found something to confer to the brother about, the betterment of his life, like thinking of things in the long haul, as relatively in a short hold, but then I still couldn't come to him without solutions. You know what I'm saying? Because he came to me because he needed, you know, a better another solution, and it was good because it was a thought that I could talk to this brother because maybe he can offer, you know, another solution. You know what I'm saying? That's actual and not just like some mystified answer that he would get from, you know, what we call, I mean, what I call maybe like religious nuts. You know, they tell you something, a passage or something, and you automatically supposed to know what that passage mean. And for the most of the people in Asia, that ain't practical. That ain't reality. So, you know, I had to bring it to reality and also show the brother, you know, ways that he can raise his finances from nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate you sharing his story because I could definitely relate to that. Islam.
Islam, praise the Lord. Islam, we just have to remember that the murky eaters of the flesh, murky. It's real murky. So I'm saying there's a lot of battle. Like if Jesus said, my Lord self is strong, by many times I found that he's calling on life, I've had the strength to overcome, give my life a willing sacrifice. You know, that's a challenge. It's good that some of your experiences and some of the, because we remember we went through a lot of ways of life, and we can share and we can help others on the journey, and we can relate to them because they can you know, sometimes like I said, it may not be able to listen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we always say just plant good seeds. Prophet said plant good seeds, just plant and let it germinate. That's right. Get it now, like I said, like the elders used to do with us. You know, they used to tell us things that it didn't catch up to the later. It didn't unfold till later until we say, oh wow, that's what they meant. So, you know, praise Allah more. I'm glad that you still working in the workshop and still helping others, uplifting fallen humanity. That's the key, more help others.
Islam, not just others, myself as well.
Praise Allah. Nothing else more. We're gonna have this a little special treat, Sister Harmony prepared for at the end of the recording.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say peace and love to all the Moors. We're looking forward to hearing and building on Friday. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. I'd like to thank everyone for the contributions spiritually, physically, and financially. Our prayer Allah continue to guide us. Our prayer Allah continue to protect us. Our prayer Allah continues to shield us against all negative forces seen and unseen. And keep reminding the Moors, don't forget your hourly prayer. And like I told the brothers, you know, remember when Jesus was tempted, just remember this, away from me authentic thoughts, my heart is fixed. You know, put those energy, because the prophet said every word I speak is spirit. And you know, the prophet said in the end of time you're gonna lose all these negative spirits. So don't be surprised what we're seeing and what we're gonna be fighting against. You know what I'm saying? This is spiritual war. So like I'm saying, but we are the soldiers of Juali. And Juali gave us the instruction and some tools to work with so we can use those tools. All right? Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
All rise, face the east. Why shall we say?
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice.
Justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
My salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
By day.
And by
day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy
prophet.
Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Tommy, yours
Peace,
Moors.
Peace.
I'm eating. Whoa. Get so nasty, bro. Off my face, boy.
Islam, Moors.
What is wisdom?
Wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. That's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. And that's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness of being conscious that you're conscious, of being conscious that you're conscious, cause you can't go back to sleep or return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Wisdom is the consciousness of being conscious that you are unconscious, dripping in the cares of the world that almost drowned you. And now the rock of your salvation is only a step away from everything you used to do and everything you used to say and all those harmful things you kept around you. If I can get you to think, I can get you to free yourselves. You are Moorish Americans, be yourselves. Our prophet, noble, true Ali, that's what he taught. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, cause wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. That's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. And that's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness.
It is the knowledge of the lower self, the sensing of powers of man himself. Okay, now let's break down the wisdom. It is the consciousness that man is art, that Allah and man are one, the naught is naught. And power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not around, above, below, but within. Which in the light of art becomes naught, and Allah is all mercy, all power, all wisdom, all knowledge, all truth. We got the proof. Faith is surety that man will become deific. The ladder of salvation reaches from the heart of man to the heart of the Creator. 3 steps will make you greater. Belief, faith, fruition. That's the current mission. See it all through and become one with the truth.
Wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. That's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness of the art that man and God are one. That's how it ought to be, that's what we're taught. That's how it ought to be, cause truth don't change, and Allah is a part of me, where wisdom is the consciousness.